From the 4th to the 7th of April, voices of African children in shaping policies and decisions that impact their lives will be amplified. This will be at the Africa Children's Summit 2025. The child-led platform will be hosted under the theme Seen, Heard, Engaged. Joining us for more on the summit is Dr. Linda Ncube-Nkomo, CEO of the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. Good evening, Doctor. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Let's start with an overview of the Africa Children's Summit 2025 and its significance.
Good evening, Fundo, and to all your viewers, and thank you for having us on the show to talk about a very, very important event that we're going to be having for children. So this Africa Children's Summit 2025 is the second summit of its kind. The first one was in Nairobi in 2023, and it is the children on the continent who asked that a platform be created for them to come together and to be able to engage on matters that affects them as the children of this continent. So the theme that they chose for 2023 was Seen, Heard, and Engaged. And for this particular one, they've added on in education. So the theme that we'll be working with over the next couple of days of the summit will be Seen, Heard, Engaged in education. And then there'll be sub-themes that speak to different aspects that the children have chosen. So this is a totally child-led summit where a children's committee came together to debate issues on what the whole conference should look like, what the thematic areas that should be focused on should be, and how, as the adults, we just are the facilitators of the event happening, and then sit around the room and listen. Mm-hmm. That's the important thing for us, is to listen.
I must say that specific theme is quite powerful, honestly, reaffirming that it's important to ensure that children participate in the decisions and some of the policies that will honestly affect them. But then let's talk about the importance of South Africa being now the second host of this event. What does this mean for the country's commitment to child advocacy?
I think it does show the government, and thanks to government that's allowed us to be able to have an event like this. It shows the commitment to child participation. But really the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Our real commitment will come even more clearly, or show even more clearly, with what we do with the outcomes statement. Because at the end of the summit, there will be an outcome statement that will be taken to the African Committee of Experts on Child Welfare and Rights in Maseru. And that is the platform that we would be using to disseminate the things that children are expecting to see across the continent. But the onus then remains for us as South Africa to show what we're going to do with what the children are telling us they'd like to see, and they'll be able to report back on progress at the next event that will be held of this nature for the continent.
Mm-hmm. And how does the summit ensure inclusivity for children with disabilities and those from marginalized communities? How are they selected?
So a children's committee was put together from different countries. So it's a continental committee. They've been meeting online every week, but very, very intentional about the fact that we want to be able to reach children, for example, who are in state care. We want to be able to have the participation of children who are differently abled. So as part of the organizing stakeholders of this committee, we've been working with Autism South Africa to make sure that as much as is possible, we've got as many representative voices of children as we possibly could get.
Mm-hmm. I suppose because that's very important, honestly, where some of their lived realities would be shared, because some might be intimidated and think if it's a summit, most probably it's those from affluent families or those who are well-spoken, so for many it would seem as though you'd end up having a one-sided understanding of what are the issues that plague young children. But if you're saying they really have gone to great lengths to ensure that it's very inclusive and quite diverse.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the themes, one of the tracks that they're going to be talking about is inclusivity in education. So it's just to bear that, if you're going to be having a summit that's got those kind of themes being talked about by children, you want to be as inclusive as possible in the children that you have. And to cater for the different countries that are coming through, we've also made sure that in addition to having sign language interpretation for the summit, we've tried to address, the common the biggest language groups on the continent. So we're going to have French, we're going to have Kiswahili, we're going to have Portuguese, among some of the languages for which we have arranged translation, so that the children can really be involved and we don't have language as a barrier in their interactions.
Doctor, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. That is Dr. Ncube-Nkomo, CEO of the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, speaking to us.